Again, just a little reminder, the British Empire has been revived, and so has the American 13 colonies. I don't really know what to call them, either the 13 colonies or Revolutionary America. You can use that first link in the description down below to preserve these today. So far, the Americans have been outselling their daddy, which I find a little bit surprising just considering how big the British Empire was. I feel like everyone around the world could be, well, maybe they just don't want British Empire things. POV, you're a Roman legionnaire and have just entered England for the first time. Oh, wow. Who are these people from very lovely folks? I can't wait to learn more. Early language in the British Isles. Wasn't it so beautiful? I feel like this is almost a perfect, accurate representation, but weren't they naked? I guess I'm kind of glad we actually didn't get a full accurate video there. That moment when you realize there will be no gold, just rocks. Every child's dream job in European countries. We've got footballer and doctor, IT specialist in the Netherlands, and then scientist in Belgium, teacher in both Portugal and Spain, then there's a chef in Italy, finally wait a second, Austria. No, you can't let your kids be painters too. Austria, I thought you learned your lesson. No one should be allowed to paint anymore in this country. Not in the case that they're too good, but actually the opposite. We don't want them to be too bad and decide, I'm gonna get into politics instead. Yes, the world needs more Austrian painters. Well, if we have gotten one more back, then maybe things would have been different. I guess that is the correct phrasing. We just need to accept all of them. POV, you're a bird on 4th of July. If you didn't know, this is actually why we Americans like to shoot firecrackers up in the sky. It's to replicate the dogfighting of World War II, at least so the birds can experience that POV. I don't know how many people know that origin story. It's you, says this French soldier in 1914. Despite everything, it's still you in 1916. Oh, how the uniforms of the French changed in World War I. Just so much more depressing than what they started out with. Longest surviving World War I soldier. 2 years would be crazy. French uniforms literally just became this throughout the Great War. Russia creates a new super weapon. America panics and creates their own in response. Russian weapon is actually poop. Decades of American supremacy in said weapons domain. This isn't exactly a history meme. This is still kind of going on, but this was definitely the theme throughout the Cold War, that's for sure. I think our paranoia, though, keeps us strong, keeps us continuing to develop things better and better. Russia panics about Western supremacy and creates new weapon. Russia lies about its statistics and capabilities. America panics and creates weapon that actually can reach those statistics and has those capabilities. Russia panics about Western supremacy and creates new weapon. And this has been going on for decades. Average British World War I tank versus average German World War I tank. Britain was apparently Germany's #1 tank supplier during World War I. Did they mean to do that? No, they did not, because the German army recovered about 50 abandoned British Mark IV tanks, and then they were able to restore 30 of them. So don't abandon military equipment. Seems like we're still learning that lesson around the world. You see, the Germans really didn't have a choice. It was either these decent British tanks or their locally produced toasters. Yeah, I'd rather not be put in the toaster. People today knowing that Thomas Jefferson ended up writing the Declaration of Independence for the US. Meanwhile, Ben Franklin in the background. Oh, he's looking so sad because Ben Franklin was not trusted in writing the Declaration of Independence because they thought he would add too many jokes. This would have made that document even better. He sure did like the ladies, so you know that probably would have been included. You're about to marry a princess. All your living costs will be paid off by the government. You live under the Ming Dynasty. Wait, you live under the Ming Dynasty? This is the only fate here worse than death. Under Ming China, any man that marries into the royal family would have to forfeit all rights and have an official position, personal titles, participation, state examination. Not to mention you're only allowed to visit your wife twice or thrice a year. What? So it sounds like the Ming Dynasty might have been the only place in history where you really didn't want to marry into the royal family. What people think Scotland's relationship with England is like, keep fighting the English and imperialism Celtic brother, versus what it's actually like. We willingly joined the UK and played a massive role in the British Empire. Our culture is mainly Germanic, not Celtic, and we consider the Gaelic Highlanders to be savages whose culture we wiped out in the Highlands clearances. Come again? I like how this side is chill with both of those responses though. So they weren't this. Insane monarchs in ancient times. Alright, Neptune, time to go to war. I shall collect seashells as a great trophy. Okay. Versus insane monarchs in the medieval ages. My liege, we've been defeated in the fields of Agincourt. Don't touch me. I'm made of glass. I'll shatter into a million pieces. Okay, I can see how that would have been pretty annoying. I'll just take the weirdly obsessed seashell guy. How about medieval generals at the time? What were they like? Your Highness, we're badly outnumbered. Calm down, soldier. Panicking will take us nowhere. Tell the army to gather in indefensible positions. We will wait for reinforcements. Now compare that to Emperor Theodore here. Your Majesty, the enemy outnumbers us 5 to 1. Okay, charge them. The only Chad response here. Oh, I'm outnumbered? Well, I guess I'll die then. This is the exact battle we're referring to here. Strength, 2,000 cavalry versus 5 to 11,000. Now, the opposite side did take heavy losses, but everyone else died. So, I mean... Response from this Prince of Poland to the Pope sometime in the 8th century. Dear Prince, it'd be very nice of you if you took part in our crusade to retake the... Someone fetch me parchment and quill. Dear Pope, I would like to, but they don't have beer in the Holy Land. P.S. If that makes you happy, I have pagans at home I can go crusading against. Why is this just making me think like crusades? We have crusades at home. We have infidels at home. Possibly this dude was just a complete alcoholic. I guess he had some very interesting principles. When Czechoslovakia and Japan ran into each other in Siberia. You shouldn't be here, says Japan. Neither should you. Man, that Russian Civil War. What a crazy time. Who could have ever predicted these two countries running into each other? I realize this is just Czechia. I couldn't find a map with Czechoslovakia and Japan. Hey, look, it's the history nerd. Is this me? I could totally survive in the medieval times. Would die of dysentery in a week. Yes. I'm basically a military strategist. Can't even do a single push-up. Actually, it's doesn't know what grass feels like. I have a deep understanding of geopolitics. Can't find Ukraine on a map. Roman Empire fell in 476 AD. Hasn't fallen himself. Actually, Hitler was Austrian. Can't talk to girls. Communism works in theory. Allowance comes from capitalist parents. The Civil War wasn't about to... Okay, so some of these are going out there. I feel like this could have been done better. But I mean, there's definitely one person out there that this perfectly describes. What am I gonna do with all this gold? Is this Blackbeard? I know. I'll bury it and have a treasure map to show where people can find it. Well, wasn't the story that he had to bury it to like stop other people from stealing it, and the map wasn't supposed to get out there for other people to find? Something like that. Pretty sure they had maps because pirates were drunk all the time. It was for themselves. I know people who can't find their car after a wild night. It's usually because they weren't able to carry it back to their boat and were going to have to come back for it. What some people call Eastern Germany versus what I call Eastern Germany. Oh, talk about a throwback. Kind of funny how now this is all just kind of Poland. Also like that Denmark is included in Western Germany here. This person might have taken a geography class over 100 years ago. Maybe that explains the issues. I can't stand Russia having Kaliningrad. If not Germany, then Poland, please. This post was fact-checked by a real German patriot. Maybe this is actually Bismarck himself that made this meme. The nation of Denmark reached out to try to bully the smaller neighbors like Sweden, Norway, and Finland. Guten Tag. But here's Germany to stop them just like always. If anyone's being bullied, it's usually Denmark themselves by the Germans. I was a little bit confused by this meme at first. Like, what does Denmark mean by their smaller neighbors? But then I forgot, technically Denmark does own Greenland, which actually does push them past literally everybody. You'd have to combine all the other Nordic countries to come close. The Soviets in Germany after World War II. If you thought this had a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Yeah, the side that would fall under the Soviet Union after World War II, they were not gonna have a good time. In fact, there were so many reports of Germans running to the Allies so they wouldn't get captured by the Soviets first. It's fair to say they were gonna hold a grudge. The territorial exchange between Polish People's Republic and the USSR, circa 1951. So here is our new border, Comrade Stalin. Great news, Comrade Secretary. We just found a huge deposit of coal in that area. You have exactly 7 seconds to move that border. And is this really surprising at all? Of course this was happening. Now countries don't have to do this as much. You just put your companies in to basically essentially own that. But on a map level, it's still yours. Leaders of World War II have some of their family members fighting in this war. Meanwhile, the de Gaulle family during World War II. Here's his niece who survived this camp. She was in the resistance. Charles de Gaulle and his brother also in the resistance. Marie de Gaulle, his sister, survived this camp, also in the resistance. Here's his son who fought in Normandy, another brother in the resistance. And then finally, another brother who fought in Italy with his own son. I mean, it was kind of all hands on deck for France there during World War II. They needed all the help they could get because, yeah. Honey, we have no more food. It can't possibly get any worse. Now the Allied bombers are coming. The Germans are not even trying to shoot them down. Flour. Oh, they've been covered in it. This is clearly an occupied Netherlands under No-No Germany, I think. Drop that food on the Dutch. Operation Chow Hound began in 1945 by the United States Air Force delivering 4,000 tons of food. By the end of World War II, there were a lot of people around the world that needed food. But obviously we're specifically talking about German-occupied Netherlands here. Again, like I said, if you would like an old British Empire ball or the 13 colonies, please check out that link in the description down below. Big ol' thanks to my patrons. Drew's Argentinian grandpa. Lucas, the Canadian Goose from Avoca.
Drew har förvisats från Sverige för brottet att vara dans.
Amateur Archaeology. Sarsath. Carmel S. DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood. Fredrik Tibblin. Your dad back with the milk. Look out, InquisitorXarius. Sebby, if you hear this, and Tambre.